Jorge Prado arrived in America as a two-time MXGP world champion. Untouchable in Europe, labeled the European assassin, the takeover was supposed to be automatic. Instead, the transition nearly broke him. Jorge Prado said it out loud, "I already beat Lawrence in Europe," and the moto world immediately split in half. Is that arrogance or denial? A few even laughed it off as a washed champion clinging to irrelevant history. But if you actually know the story, it's neither arrogance nor denial. It's a two-time MXGP world champion reminding everyone who he was before America humbled him. Before Jorge Prado ever touched American dirt, he was a problem. A legitimate, title-winning, race-managing problem. Four-time world champion. Multiple Grand Prix wins across different classes. His starts were clinical, almost robotic in their consistency. Prado was known to start from gap and then manage the race. Smooth, technical, consistent, and ruthless when it mattered. And yes, he did race Jet Lawrence in MXGP, and yes, he beat him multiple times. Jet was younger then, less experienced, still developing his racecraft and figuring out the outdoor game at the world championship level. But Prado was already there, already championship caliber, already operating at the peak of MXGP competition. So when he said he beat Lawrence in Europe, he wasn't lying or exaggerating. He was stating a fact, a documented, results-backed fact. The problem is, Supercross doesn't care about facts from another continent. Supercross doesn't care what you did in MXGP. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button. More motocross stories like this are coming fast. Now, it only cares what you can do right now, under stadium lights, in front of 70,000 screaming fans, with 20 other riders who've been racing this format since they were 6 years old. You're only as good as your last race. When Kawasaki signed Prado, the media framed it perfectly. Europe versus America. Old world champion versus new world order. Proven MXGP talent coming to prove himself in the toughest, most specialized racing series on earth. Prado had the credentials, he had the speed, he had the confidence. And early on, he showed flashes, good starts, competitive pace in practice, moments where you could see the world champion underneath the learning curve. You could see him processing, adapting, figuring it out in real time. But then the crashes started, and the inconsistency, and the pressure. Because Supercross is not MXGP, the tracks are tighter, more technical, more punishing. The rhythm sections are quicker, more varied, and they require a different kind of timing. More pop, more precision, more commitment. You can't roll things in Supercross. You either commit or you get passed, and the mental load is relentless. One mistake costs you 5 positions. Prado struggled with setup. The Kawasaki didn't feel right in his hands, whether that was suspension, engine character, or chassis balance. Something wasn't clicking. The media pressure became suffocating. Every post-race interview turned into an interrogation. What went wrong? Why can't you keep up? Do you regret coming to America? Prado's behavior toward the media shifted from open and confident to guarded, defensive, sometimes visibly frustrated. He stopped giving long answers. He stopped engaging. And behind the scenes, his relationship with Kawasaki was deteriorating fast. The tension was obvious: bike setup arguments, disagreements over direction, frustration on both sides. It got so bad that the contract ended prematurely. Before the 3-race Super Motocross playoff, Prado couldn't even race SMX. And at his last outdoor national, it looked like he tried to miss qualifying on purpose. He qualified 40th, a result so far off his capability it was almost impossible to explain. He only made the gate because he was top 10 in points, and the rules saved him. It was ugly, messy, the kind of ending that leaves everyone bitter and embarrassed. He struggled with confidence. Every crash chipped away at his belief that he belonged, and he struggled with the weight of expectations, his own and everyone else's, because when you're a 4-time world champion, you don't get the luxury of a learning curve. You're expected to show up and compete immediately. And when you don't, the questions start. Is he overrated? Was MXGP easier? Can he actually hang with these guys? Did he peak too early? This wasn't supposed to be hard for him, but it was. Brutally, publicly, painfully hard. Every weekend felt like another reminder that talent doesn't always translate. That being the best somewhere else doesn't guarantee anything here. And at some point, when the doubt gets too loud, you need to anchor yourself to something real. And for Prado, that anchor was simple. I've been here before. I've won at the highest level. I've beaten the best rider in the world on my terms, in my environment, when we both showed up to race. The problem was not his talent. The problem was the translation. Supercross is a different language. But here's where the story gets interesting. Prado didn't run. He didn't pack up and go back to Europe with his tail between his legs, chasing another MXGP title where things made sense. He did not take the easy route. He signed with KTM, and that move might be the smartest thing he's done since coming to America, because KTM is a whole system, a championship-winning system. The Orange Brigade knows how to develop riders. They know how to build confidence. They know how to structure a season, manage expectations, and create an environment where struggling riders can reset and rebuild. And they know how to win Supercross. Cooper Webb, Ryan Dungey, Marvin Musquin, Aaron Plessinger. These are not accidents. KTM has a blueprint. The KTM steel chassis is sharper in tight sections, more reactive in rhythm, more planted in whoops. The engine character, especially with the new fuel-injected setup, suits Prado's smooth, technical style better than the hit-you-in-the-face Kawasaki powerband. And the team environment has a history of helping European riders adapt. Musquin came from Europe and became a podium threat. Plessinger struggled early and found his groove. KTM does not just throw you on a bike and hope. They work with you, they adjust, they develop. And for Prado, who clearly needed a reset, that's everything. Prado is recalibrating. He spent a full season learning the hard way, learning where Supercross punishes you, where it forgives you, where you can push, and where you have to be patient. He learned what tracks suit his style and which ones expose his weaknesses. He learned how to manage a 17-race championship grind when every single round feels like a title fight. He learned that outdoor speed doesn't always translate indoors, that what worked in MXGP doesn't always work in a stadium. Now he's got the bike, the support, and the motivation to prove everyone wrong. And that motivation is everything. Because Prado is not just racing for results anymore, he's racing for redemption. He's racing to prove that his MXGP titles weren't a fluke. That his speed wasn't just a product of a different series with slower competition. That when he said he beat Lawrence in Europe, it wasn't a desperate grasp at relevance. It was a statement of capability. He's racing to prove that he belongs in the conversation with Jet, with Eli, with Chase, with all the guys who've been winning in America while he was winning everywhere else. And that's a different kind of fuel. That's the kind of motivation that turns good riders into great ones. That's the kind of chip on your shoulder energy that makes you faster, sharper, hungrier. It's the kind of drive that keeps you in the gym longer, on the bike more, watching film until midnight, looking for that extra 10th. Good news is, Prado actually knows the KTM environment well. He raced KTM for years in his MXGP championship runs. He knows the bike, he knows the team culture, he knows how they operate. That familiarity could be the edge he needs to finally feel comfortable, to finally unlock the speed he's been carrying this whole time. If any manufacturer can help him translate his talent to American racing, it's the one he already built championships with. So, what do you think? Can Prado prove everyone wrong in 2025? Or is this just another chapter in a story that doesn't end well? Drop your take in the comments. 2026 is where we get the answer. If Prado shows up with KTM and starts landing podiums, maybe even wins races, that quote stops being controversial. It becomes the foundation of a comeback, proof that he wasn't arrogant, just ahead of the curve. But if the struggles continue, if the crashes stay, if the results don't come, that quote follows him forever, not as confidence, as a cautionary tale. Subscribe if you haven't already. More MX deep dives coming fast. And if you want to understand why riders think, ride, and even argue the way they do, watch this next. Every dirt bike brand explained and what it says about you. It's on screen right now.